I feel like that's something that's normal or the norm for your writing. It's just there's no room for error. It's very mathematical. It's a lot of interplay and intricacy. And like, are you a very mathematical person, or is that
I
just kind
suck
of?
at math. I suck at math. I've been doing a bit of a pivot. I'm a sales manager for a solar company, and there's a lot of spreadsheet stuff involved. I've gotten better at it. Like when I was in third grade, I tested at like 99.9 for reading comprehension. So they're like, okay, you're like 11th grade math, 11th grade English, but you're like you're like mid-year third grade in your math. So I had a 57.6, in the math thing. So much more of a ENFP, much more of an extrovert, much more of a language, processing type thing. And yeah, I'm not very good at math. I'm a nerd, but I'm not a nerd in that way, unfortunately. I wish I was.
That's
It
wild for me to
seems
hear.
surprising
Really?
Yeah.
because from an outside perspective, the arranging sometimes feels so metrically, I don't want to say complex, but just different.
Accurate.
How it evolves over long phrases. And I don't know if you wrote meter diddle, but just an exercise like meter diddle, for example,
Yeah.
just like the metric changes and the hand speed changes and the math that I think in my head when it throwing things over the bar line, the hemiola rhythms and all that. So that's a little surprising to hear.
Well, I try not to sound like myself, and I think part of that is like, ego. Like I feel like I can clean a lot of things, As Flo used to say, man, I could clean dog poop, and sort of, which the man can. One of the finest technician I've ever met, him and Rick Rodriguez. But I don't like sounding like myself. So for me, it's that skateboard progression analogy again. It's like you should try and push. Like it's our job to push it as far as we can, because some little kid, is going to pick that up and take it further than you ever thought, anyone could. And that's progression. That's what it's about. Pushing as far as you can, trying new things. If they fail beautifully. They fail with swagger and panache. So what can you do?
Well, you've definitely achieved that goal of evolution.
You definitely failed. No.
No, I was going to say you definitely have achieved that goal of evolution, because you can go back and watch the different eras of your writing and just watch it evolve year to year to year to year to what it is now. And it's just so kudos. I've pretty much been following your stuff since probably those Blue Coats lines you were talking about. And it's just a complete evolution. I never know what's coming next the first time I see your books, and it's just really cool to watch and listen to. So,
that means a ton to me. That means a ton to me, Michael. It really does. The only thing I will do from the previous years, I will get the first version. And it's funny, Michael Martin and I always laugh. It's like, always keep your first version, because the design crew usually comes back around to the first thing we demonstrate in the design meeting. But I will go and listen to the first version of the music, and then I will go and I'll pull the score out from January, and then I'll pull the Sibelius file from finals night, because we're real meticulous with the scores. Like if you guys came in to teach, we'd hand you the score bound, in tabloid size with a pencil that's not been used yet. Like, here's not what we played last week. Here's what we played last night. So I'll go and I'll see what changed and evolved, and I'll try and start there every year. Like I'll try and get all of the normal BS, change stuff out of the way. Well, that was a dumb sticking, or, I shouldn't have put that 5-stroke there, kind of thing. But as far as content, and thinking about, abstract concepts, I am trying to get crazy. I am trying to sound different and create new things. And sometimes it fails and sometimes it's cool. But I'm okay with both.
I love that, because watching your style of writing too, I feel like you have, I'm sure it changes based on like who you're writing for, like from a brass composition too. And I feel like the evolution from like the Blue Coats to the Cavaliers, there's a little bit of a style change just because there's different brass arrangers. It's just a different team.
Sure.
It's kind of a different, like, I don't want to say tradition, but I do think that corps have their traditions.
For sure.
But it was able to capture the essence. Like when I think about like the 05 or 2011 Cavaliers, just the very beginning of the show, that all the rim interplay stuff, but it still has like what I would consider like a classic Cavaliers groove, which I was introduced to from like 02, 03, like frameworks and stuff, but still captures a uniqueness to that like kind of metric identity that I personally associate with you, where they're doing like this metric change from the 7 o'clock gut to the center to the 2 o'clock gut edge of the drum and stuff like that.
Right.
So I think there's the nuance that's subtle of the style of the core and your own personal style, which is really cool to listen to.
I mean, you've got to be respectful of the audience, and you've got to be respectful of the performers. I mean, I kind of learned the hard way my first time there at Cavaliers that it was very, cut and dried sometimes, and you had to double teach. You had to make the membership think it was their idea, and that takes a lot of time. And I wasn't successful, in some ways, for sure. So the second time around, I really tried to be as reverent as I could. And that 2011 book, the first 3 notes of the show, that boom, 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 that's the whole show. If you go back and you think about, and you watermark that rhythm across your glasses or across your ear pods, and you listen to the show, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's in that beginning, the middle, the end, the ballad. I mean, it's everywhere in there. So yeah, man. I mean, that was just another, right place, right time. You've got, Michael Gaines and crew, and Scott Coder and Drew Shanefield and Andy Toth, and the best of the best. It's really hard to kind of mess that up.